Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. Welcome to Wowbiz, Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. Welcome to Wowbiz, Nebraska. You know, the best dialogues about business and life that's, of course, kind of couched into and fusing into the business that we all are interested in here today in the state of Nebraska. Sometimes those dialogues are best when those dialogues are with yourself. I know that sounds a little bit awkward, but when you talk to other people and then you step out in the hall and you say, I should have said this, I really wanted to say that. This particular show, I'm going to encourage you to stick with us all the way because we're going to have that dialogue. I'm going to have that dialogue with a very special person, myself. I'm going to have a talk with myself all the way through this entire show. It's going to be candid. It's going to be authentic. It's going to be open. It's going to be open-ended, fluid, creative. It's going to be exciting. And I guarantee you'll learn something in the next 30 minutes if you stick with us right here on Wowbiz, Nebraska. Now, my guest today, as I said before, is Lynn Hinderrocker, right? And let's ask him a question to get this ball actually rolling, all right? So here we go. Here's something that I want to know what you think really about the state of business today. What is happening in your opinion? What's going on? Why is it such a weird period for a lot of business owners out there? They're not sure if they're out of the pandemic. They don't know what strategy or tactics to embrace. They don't know the way they should be recruiting people and what to expect. So let me just share this with you right now and kind of take the big picture, all right? Here's the idea. The idea is that automation and efficiency and cost savings and employee productivity, these are the things that are whirling around in the brains of business owners at this particular time. They're trying to figure out how can we flush out costs, because many businesses, by the way, 37% of all small businesses out there have closed, as you probably know, by this time. So it's a very precarious period, and generating revenue and getting customers to be involved with you and so on. It's still very awkward. So what we're really doing, if we can't increase sales, is we'd have to flush out costs. When we do that, we start to, we rely on technology, right? We start automating, we start cutting people from the payroll, and we just try to keep pushing down costs until it seems like the market is going to be ready to come back to us and we can increase our sales and so on and so forth. So when that happens, there's a strange thing, and we're seeing it all the time, written up right now in all the trades and so on. They're talking about mental health problems. Employees are uptight, they're depressed, they're not going into the office still. The quarantine is still kind of looming over their heads. They don't feel good about themselves. Depression is a very serious thing right now. And so I think the tone of the marketplace right now is how do I say it? It's pressing down on us in an attempt to push out costs, but it's also pushing down on our hearts. It's pushing down on our hearts, and as a result of that, there's a tremendous amount of emphasis on business culture, you know, and how do you make people feel good about their work and their job, and how do you get them back in the office and get a smile on their face, and how do you get them, you know, passionate again about their job description after they've been away for a year and a half out of the office. It's a very interesting conundrum, isn't it? You know, that puts us in a tough situation. I'm just curious, what do you really think is going to, you know, unleash the potential of employees and companies now at this really weird period where people think the COVID thing is over, but, you know, it's not exactly sure. We've got a variant out there, and a lot of people have conflicting opinions about what they should be doing in the third quarter of 2021. What would be your take on that? What do you think is the real answer? And then we'll move on to some other questions. Well, I think you've touched on it. The key thing is to focus on human beings, right? Not performance, not functions, not recruiting or hiring necessarily. And I wouldn't even use the word training, I would use the word coaching, all right? We need to turn the workforce and the workplace into a place where people are truly capable of being their best selves. This is the big idea. This is the higher purpose that people have been kind of talking about a little bit for the last 5 or 10 years, but they haven't had to actually do anything about it, all right? Also, obviously, this is a time when transparency, diversity, inclusion, racial equity, all these things now are sitting right in front of leaders. They've got these dispirited employees, most of which aren't even here, right? So the key issue is, can managers, can business owners inspire their employees? Can they inspire them? I think this is the key factor for success. And many of them are listening right now to the show, and I know they're going, I don't know anything about inspiring people. My job is to get money out there, get profits, bank some business. But I got to tell you, we're very, very close to turning the corner on that kind of an attitude. And I think that humanizing and warming up, so to speak, the employees and helping them bring out their truly unique strengths and leveraging those strengths and really even taking it to the next step and asking him, every single employee in your operation, what is your motivation? What is your passion? How can we link what we're trying to do in our company to that? And if the answer is, I don't know, well, we have to work with that, right? We have to find our way through that. So helping your employees kind of really grow as human beings, I know that's a tall order, but just take it in for a second, and helping them move away from learning based on fear and doubt. Take fear and doubt out of the equation and help them learn from reconnecting with who they really are. So notions like identity, notions like destiny, what you're meant to do, these are ideas that need to find their way now into the workplace. That's just my opinion. All right, well, that's a good start to the show. Thank you right now for giving us your gut reaction on this here at Wowbiz, Nebraska. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let me ask you this question: what motivates you? All right, what really trips your trigger? What is the thing that gets you out of bed? And ultimately, you find yourself here in this particular studio doing this TV show. What is it that keeps you going and makes you Lynn Hinderrocker, not somebody else? Can you share that with us? It's very interesting and kind of a deep question, but I think it actually is more important to your business success and our viewers' success if you can put your fingers around that for us. Most of us just can't really handle that question. Wow, yeah, that's a really pertinent question. I welcome that question because, believe it or not, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the answer to that question. I believe I have, and I'm going to share that with you. I appreciate you asking the question. First of all, I think the single most important thing is the ability to become inspired by life, right? In other words, being receptive to situations and perceptions and things that happen and emotions and so on and so forth. These are the kinds of things that are normally pushed away from business people. And I have to tell you that at least that the fuel, shall we say, for me getting up and trying to do something creative and innovative and special and unique and build value for my clients as well as for my own practice and so on, it really has to do with my willingness to become inspired. Somebody said, what's your number one strength? I probably would say I'm easily inspired. Easily inspired. Well, that's a really interesting first answer to that question. I have a feeling there's a little bit more to it. I know that you're a creative person. I know that you put a lot of attention and focus on generating innovative programs and concepts and visionary ideas and so on for your clients. How do you stay creative? And is creativity really the essence of success in business? Because I'm not sure I see that, right? I see productivity, I see, scale. I see largeness. I see driving down costs. I see all that. And those are practical considerations. But I'm not sure I see creativity, looming as a catalyst to get many, many businesses going again as this pandemic period. Tell me, what role does creativity really play in your opinion? Try to be as candid as you can. Innovation is the key to everything. Innovation is the driver. And by the way, in Nebraska, I got to tell you, innovation is even more important than it is in many other contexts. We really need a heavy dose of innovation. But it's not easy to innovate. There have been some interesting people that have come out with some new thoughts and philosophies and so on. And that really has been what my career has been all about. I've started in sales really, and then advertising, devoted 20 years or more to that. And then as I kind of matured in my career as a consultant, I broadened from advertising, which is creatively driven, and kind of moved into a broader realm of innovation, which includes research, trying to get people to tell you what they really want from a vendor, right? And developing new products and services, new procedures, new strategies is kind of my favorite thing. So innovation, but there's a lot of hesitancy to innovate, understandably. And there are ways to, and I've learned this, of course, this is kind of my value proposition, how to minimize risk while nevertheless pushing yourself forward and creating an open mindset, not a fixed mindset. It's a very important issue here in our state and in many companies, by the way, and states around the country. We get hooked into this fixed mindset when we're looking at something that's threatening, it's fearful, and we say, what have we done in the past? What worked in the past? We've made money in the past. We'll just do that again, right? It's very tough. You've got to be courageous to have an open mindset, receptive to exploring and prototyping and testing, and of course, innovating with new products and services and breaking out of the pack. That's the other thing. Instead of adapting to an existing industry and the way the industry is, we'll just adapt and figure it out. There is an opportunity to rethink the entire industry. All right, this is the innovative mindset that I'm referring to really redefine it. You'll learn about this, by the way, if you've ever read any of the Blue Ocean Strategy, Blue Ocean Shift, these books. These are the ones that talk about reinventing the entire industry. And that's what I'd like to do and teach my clients how to do. So creativity is at the basis of that. We're going to talk a little bit more probably. We can get back to talking about creativity even more. It has a very deep source, and maybe we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, well, I'm talking to Lynn Hinderaker, my alter ego, though. He's given me some insights, and it's really an incredible dialogue I'm having with myself here as I kind of get all the tough questions and tough answers laid out on the table. Thanks for watching us right here on Wowbiz, Nebraska. Now, by the way, this particular show is brought to you by Growth Dynamics. Growth Dynamics is a consulting firm and a marketing firm here in the eastern Nebraska area. Work all over the country. But here's the thing. Growth Dynamics is introducing a new service because at this pivotal time, as you probably know, many companies are just unclear as to what we should be doing. Do we even have the same consumers or end users? What do they want from us really? We've got new investors or bankers, different people that are involved in the staff and so on. We're a little confused about what direction we should be going. Pursuing opportunities, defending ourselves against threats, focusing on the strategy, or maybe focusing on employee culture. Now, these are really good questions. How do you answer them other than looking at the boss and say whatever you want to do? Well, I'd like to tell you a little bit, very, very briefly, about a new high-tech research tool and system that helps any group, think about the community now, by the way, come to a decision, reach consensus, and really transform qualitative feedback into quantitative feedback. Now, it's called Data Burst. Data Burst is an exciting, as I said before, technology. It utilizes handheld tools or little pieces of portable equipment that everybody holds. You get 6, 8, 10, 15 people in a room. You utilize those, as I said before, these little tools or instruments. And then a number of questions, of course, are asked to the group. And people can indicate, yes, I agree, no, I disagree. Or on a scale of 1 to 10, they can indicate the continuum. Where in the continuum they agree. This is a very important idea, by the way. Usually research is black and white, as you probably know, but the ability to say, well, I kind of agree. I sort of agree with that or disagree on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a 7. Now, when 6 or 10 or 15 people in a room do that, and they could be responding to an image, a new theme, a marketing concept, the idea of adding somebody to the staff, whatever it is, right? Then they see all the results to the dialogue, the research dialogue that's going on, compiled graphically right on the screen, right in front of everybody. It's amazing, really. And then everybody goes, well, wow, look at that. I'm really surprised. Everybody else is up around 7 or 8, and I said it was a 3. I have no idea. What's going on with you guys, right? So really good, creative, open-end discussions are supported by Data Burst. And as a result of that, you just keep asking tough questions and you reach consensus. And I got to tell you, in this day and age, achieving consensus internally, whether you're a community group, you're a Rotary group, you're a company with, rolling out some new products or maybe sizing down. I mean, a lot of heavy stuff is going on right now. And if your organization wants to be sure, comfortable, absolutely clear about what we're doing and why, give us a call at Growth Dynamics, and we'll talk to you a little bit further about Data Burst. This is research technology. You've never seen it before. Very, very effective, guaranteed to work. Give us a call at Growth Dynamics. Thank you so much for giving some consideration there to that incredible research. You got to ask questions, right? You got to ask questions and then be open to what other people are saying. And it kind of bends and shapes the collective answer to the looming problem. All right, we're going to get right back with my alter ego, Lynn Hinderrocker, and he has got a lot of answers to questions I have. I'm going to ask him very straightforwardly a couple of them right now. Now, here we go. This is the first one. What do you think the major problems that businesses right now, let's say small businesses, right, under 50 employees, we'll say for a second, maybe doing less than $500,000 in sales. We'll just start there. What's the number one problem they have? What do they do wrong, in your opinion? You've worked in 40 industries, right? You've seen a lot of organizations do a lot of things good and not so good. What do you think is really the number one thing that you would try to change if you had your opportunity to do exactly that? I can't wait to hear the answer to this question. What a great question. Why doesn't somebody give me that question more often, actually, I tell you what, man, the answers to that questions are so, I can't limit to one, right? There's so many things that need to be done and that are just not being done. For instance, we like to carry on debates about branding, our image, what we stand for, our values, pictures and words and slogans, even experiential branding, doing some more sophisticated and complex things with the brand. This is who we are. This is our identity. Very important as we come out of the pandemic. Very important for the customer and the employee. But then we have a whole other group of people that say, I don't really think that the money invested in branding is, it's not measurable. It's really difficult to know. Let's adopt the direct mail or direct marketing, what they now call performance marketing. All right, let's orientate that. Let's do the numbers. Let's just spend $1,000, $5,000, whatever it takes. Get some advertising out there, and then start figuring out how many people are coming to the website as a result, and how many of those people we can convert. How many of those people actually buy our product? Not the marketing department where it talks about leads. We're more interested in actual sales, all right? So right off the bat, there we go. We're on one side of the thing or the other. They don't seem to come together. And I just have to say, I don't care what your budget is, you have to somehow figure out a way to blend your branding efforts and your messaging, blend it with your quote, performance marketing, your promotion, buy this product now and get the next product for 50% off, all that stuff, which is great stuff. Nothing wrong with that. But I got to tell you, if that's where you're landing on this continuum, just know that people will drift away from you rapidly, all right? There's no loyalty built in. And by the way, your product is probably not, I mean, it's probably great. It's not that great. So they may go somewhere else if they get a better discount, a better offer, a better price, whatever. So this is part of it. I don't have to tell you this more than once, all right? Numbers are great. ROI is important, but that's only one deal, one transaction right now. Think about the lifetime value of that customer. That's what really counts. We're investing in the future all the time anyway. So what does that mean, right? Somebody said, hey, you know, I get the whole trust thing and loyalty and so on. We want to care about that. We want them to come back. We don't have to spend tons of money every time we want a transaction from these people, right? So that takes us into how do we do that, right? How do we create that kind of, I like these guys, I'm going to stick with them. This takes us into the world of content marketing. So this is kind of an addendum to the answer to the first question. Content marketing is essentially when you're creating marketing materials, could be infographics, could be advertorials, could be videos that are educational in nature. Not buy our product today, it'll be really great, you'll love it. Right? There's a place for that. But educating your customer, ask yourself, if my customer prospects were smarter, better informed, actually knew 90% of what we're doing and why, would that be good for us or not? If the answer is yes, and it probably is, no matter what, content marketing, you got to go into that. You've got to build your brand around content. People get a little bored about this, like, oh boy, there's going to be more articles, more stories, I don't know. I just want the transaction. I just want to knock them out. I just want to get the deal. That's okay. That's okay. That's completely to be expected. Just remember, a good portion of those transactions will not be here next month. They'll drift away to the next and the next and the next vendor. So that's the first answer to that very important question. Okay, that was a good answer, and I have a tendency to agree with that. I think I know what you're talking about. It's like there's two schools of thought, and we got to get customers, and that means marketing, and so then we talk about where do we spend our limited amount of money. Now, if you're a very small company and you don't have but $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 to spend, you have to really think carefully about what part of it is going to be brand driven, what part of it is going to be promotional, what's the sequence going to be. When do we ask for the order? How do we get them into the sales funnel, right? Now, Lynn, I want to ask you that. How do you think we get people into the sales funnel so they can start their journey ultimately towards the seller's, the bottom line, so to speak, towards the seller's company and the product? How do we get them into the funnel? Great question, number one question of all time, right? So here's the all-time question, because we got to move on. There's a lot of things I want to say to this question. You've got to be able to understand the problem that your product solves better than they do. You have to be able to articulate it better than they do. You have to know the feelings associated with not having it better than they do. That may mean, by the way, that you may want to contract and do a little bit of research, get out there, get somebody asking, how do you feel when you use this product or before you use it? What anxiety is coming up? What makes you nervous and sad and maybe looking for some solution somehow, all right? So this is a very important thing. So oftentimes, by the way, a social media video, which is something that my company makes, but other people do similar things, and punchy, unusual, musical, graphical video, not about we're great, but rather here's your problem, here's the statistics around your problem, this is a rough thing, we know that. They'll come into the top of your funnel after seeing that kind of messaging tool. All right, as we wrap up here on Wowbiz Nebraska, I got one more question for my alter ego, Lynn Hinderrocker. And that is, what What is the overarching idea? What is the big idea at this point in our society? What should we be looking for? And give us a quick clue as to how we get from here to there. And then we'll be wrapping up shortly, and thank you again for your openness and candid attitude. But what do we do now, and one more time, what's the big picture? I'm going to break it down for you real quick. I want you to think of a quadrant. We've all seen these charts where it's a horizontal line, a vertical line, and so on. I want you to think about the 4 kinds of customers. I don't care if it's business or consumers. 4 kinds of customers in the marketplace today. This will give you a better handle on what to do and how to proceed. At the top of the vertical line, it says protected. At the bottom of the vertical line says unprotected. These are the two segments of society, kind of a group of people that feel vulnerable. They're just living from paycheck to paycheck. By the way, that's probably most of the middle class these days. Anyway, and then think about a horizontal line that crosses the whole thing right there. And think about urbanites. We'll put that on the left of the horizontal line, and we'll put rural or natural on the right side of the vertical line. So you've got a quadrant here that says protected, unprotected, urban, and rural. Now these are broad strokes, but I got to tell you, if somebody says, who are we talking to? What should we be saying? What's the angle? Think of the 4 quadrants right there and say, well, we're talking to protected people. They're not nervous. They sleep well. They make enough money. And we're talking about maybe rural people. And so that quadrant right there, those kinds of people like these kinds of things, these kinds of words, phrases, these kinds of offers, imagery. It makes perfect sense. Divide your marketplace up into these 4 quadrants, and you'll know whether you're going on the offense or on the defense, whether you're talking to an urbanite or you're talking to a rural person. That'll give you a focus. When you got a focus, you got a great shot. All right, we're back. Thank you so much, Lynn Hinderaker. Thanks for watching me and my alter ego have this discussion. It has been open, candid, insightful, and this is how we roll right here at Wowbiz, Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderaker, not him. I'm Lynn Hinderaker. We'll see you next time on Wowbiz, Nebraska. Thanks for watching.